Hi, I'm Angela from 𝗦𝗢𝗪𝗡𝗅𝗡𝗏𝗏𝒠𝗏𝒠.com and I make healing crystal jewellery. Today I'm going to be doing a video on how I tell whether my crystals are real or fake. If this is the type of video that you do like to see, please do click the like and subscribe button below. And if you see any of my jewellery that you want to buy, or if you want to see any of the crystals that I have in the form of jewellery, please do pop over to my 𝗦𝗢𝗪𝗡𝗏𝒠𝗏𝒠.com website and have a browse. Thanks very much. Okay, today I'm going to be going over how I tell whether my crystals are real or fake. I've invested in this very expensive gem tester machine, and I test all of my crystals with this when they come in. Now, before I start on anything with this machine, I want to talk about the definition of fake and real. Now, fake is bandied around way too much. A dyed crystal is not a fake crystal, it's just a treated crystal. A heat treated crystal is not a fake crystal, it's just a heat treated crystal. They still have healing properties, and this is what I am interested in, being a Reiki healer. And I really enjoy seeing how changing the colour of a stone will affect its healing properties. I work with all my stones when I get them, as if anybody that's familiar with my work, I cleanse all my stones, I tune them to Reiki, I program them with sacred, angelic and Reiki symbols. So I work with my crystals a lot before I actually use them in jewellery. So I like to, when I get new crystals, see how a dye has affected its crystal properties, whether it's the same or whether it's altered it a lot. One of my favourite crystals, this is one of my own pendants, and this is clear quartz that's been dyed pink, and I absolutely love it because it's got all the balancing and healing properties of quartz, but it centers particularly on your heart chakra because it's been dyed this pink on the outside. So I really like dyed stones, but I know everybody has their preferences, but at the very least they're not fake, they are just dyed. So that's that out the way. So we're going to be using this machine today. I've propped it up so that you can see the screen a bit more. And it's the Presidium Gem Tester 2 machine. This machine works on testing thermal conductivity. And we have a probe here. And this has 2 thermometers inside, one which is heated electronically and the other gets cooled by the gemstone. So as you can see, this probe will go on here and it will move the dial, and it's the difference in the temperature of these 2 probes that gives the thermal conductivity properties of the stone. Glass and plastic are extremely different to other stones that are naturally formed in the earth. So first off, I'd like to show you glass, which I'll just tip this up slightly. As you can see, this is glass. We have jadeite and spinel, tourmaline, topaz, tanzanite, ruby and sapphire, and the quartzes, quartz, amethyst and citrine here. So I'll leave this propped up so you can see. You also have this diamond and moissanite. I don't actually deal with diamonds, so I've never actually used this function. They're way too expensive for me, but I do use lots of different crystals, so it's really nice for me to test them. So the first thing I want to show you is glass. So I've got my friend's Red Fox Candle Company. I've got one of their candles here, which is glass. I'll move it underneath, but you can see that that stays in the glass area. And I've just got one of my little reels with plastic on, and you can see that doesn't move it. There we go. So I always test all of my stones, and what you've got to be a bit careful of with the stones is that you're always going to get some sort of, nothing's going to be pure, well, not at the level that I'm working at. I don't use AAA grade stones, but you're going to be getting little bits of impurities and matrix. So when I test a stone, I tend to test it in several different bits. Now this is going to go right to the other side, so it's slipping off here. So that's in the ruby. This is a ruby here, so that goes straight over to the ruby. But you would test several different bits to check that it is ruby. And if I choose a black bit, that's probably going to be a little bit of tourmaline in there. There you go. You can just see a little tourmaline there. It's lucky that tested out, because I hadn't tested it before. I would have looked a fool. And then that looks like a nice pure bit of ruby. There we go. So now amethyst and quartz, smoky quartz, citrine, they're all within the same group. So that's this group down here. So this amethyst, that will go in the amethyst section. And I have these little quartzes. I love working with little quartzes. And I've got my favourite stones here. These are my two favourite pendants. I've got my pink dyed one, and this is my favourite pendant here, little quartz one. And I get lots of messages saying, oh, I think my quartz is fake. It's got bubbles in. Now, I don't know where this has come from. I think what it is that there is, if you're very good at gemology and you've studied, you can identify if something's glass, because if you look under a microscope, the bubbles will be very uniform. But you can't just look at something and say, oh, it's got bubbles in, that's not quartz. It just means that it's got a few tiny little bits of, it's usually water inclusions that cause the bubbles in quartz, but not always, sometimes air, but mostly water inclusions. So something like this, you can see that's coming up nicely in the quartz. So that's real. My favourite pendant, coming nicely in the quartz area. So this is the bit we're looking at, this amethyst, quartz amethyst citrine bit here. I've got a little bit of smoky quartz, quite often use these for pendants. You can see that's coming up nicely in the quartz area. Now the dyed, which people be screaming fake. This is my favourite stone. There we go, nicely in the quartz area. Quite often when it's coloured, it will go further towards the coloured quartz. So this will probably test lower than this one. Doesn't always work. So and you've got the amethyst, which tests quite high, because the minerals in the amethyst help conductivity quite often. So the other thing to say is about the metal. So if this is tested on metal, it'll actually error. So you'll quite often find that if you touch metal, then it'll start to error. So if I, quite difficult with, there we go. And then it'll just error because obviously metal conducts heat a lot better than a lot of minerals. So it will affect the test quite a lot. So another one I've got to test is emerald. So for emerald, this is this area here. There we go. I have got batteries in this today, which I would normally plug this into the wall, into a socket, because it doesn't test as well with batteries, and these are old batteries, so it's not testing quite as well as normal. Excuse the noise in the background, so it's pouring with rain outside and it's knocking against my window a bit, so if you've heard a bit of background noise, it's just the rain. So I haven't tested this one yet, so this should come into the quartz area. So that's coming into this quartz area here. I've also got a couple of pieces of agate. Now, agate is not something that we officially test on here. These are nice little bits of dyed agate. People quite often accuse this of being glass and plastic. If it was plastic, as we've seen, it wouldn't conduct at all. If it was glass, it would stay around here. Agate usually comes between the tourmaline and jadeite, sometimes going into the jadeite area. So if we do this one, I hope. So that's just going on to the end of the tourmaline area. If it was glass, it would be right down here. And obviously if it's plastic, it wouldn't move at all. So I was just seeing whether sellotape would change it. That comes under glass apparently. And this is a lovely dyed natural agate slice. And there you go, that comes nicely in between the tourmaline and the jadeite. That's usually where they seem to fall, those ones. So this is the way I test all my stones. So you can generally tell whether something's glass or plastic immediately, as it will be way lower than the readings you'll be expecting for a natural mineral. And also it will show you if you've got any impurities, such as that little line of tourmaline there, which is quite interesting. Basically I always check all of my stones, and it's not a cheap machine, don't get me wrong. I don't expect people to get this machine, but it's just to show you and give you a bit of faith that I am not just buying things blindly and throwing them out onto the market. I take pride in my work. I feel the energies of the stones, but I also like to back up my what I pick up in the energies scientifically, as well as obviously my background is biochemistry, so I do like to mix healing with science quite a lot. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Please do click the like and subscribe button if you did, and I hope that's given you a bit more information about how I work and how crystals are tested. And if you like anything that you see in the form of jewellery, please do pop over to 𝗦𝗢𝗪𝗓𝗏crystals.com. And thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.